Bill O'Reilly here. Welcome to the No Spin News, Thursday, April 28th, 2022. Stand up for your country. So I'm going to prove to you that watching and listening to the No Spin News this evening will help your life, because we're going to report on a situation that I believe few others will even mention, and it's vitally important to every American. So this morning there was a fascinating play by the White House, and I haven't seen any commentator mention it. At 10 a.m., the Director of Homeland Security, Alejandro Mayorkas, is set to testify in front of the House Judiciary Committee. Okay? The Biden White House knows this is a disaster. They know they can't defend the open border policy. They know Mayorkas is going to look bad. So what do? They schedule a Biden mini speech and Q&A during Mayorkas' testimony to divert attention from Mayorkas. Now, they could have had the president come out in the late afternoon. They could have had him come out at 9 a.m. No. They put him right at the beginning of the Mayorkas testimony. Okay. It didn't work. And we'll go through why it didn't work. But they tried it, and they knew no media would pick it up. They knew nobody but me would tell you this. And because we are now an internet, TV, radio operation, we are not a corporate media operation anymore. Our reach is not as extensive as it was when I was working for Fox. But we still reach millions of people. But the impact is not as it would be if I were still in the corporate media, because I would be raising this flag all day long. All right, so Biden, he shows up a half an hour late, as he always does. And he basically says nothing. There was no reason for this at all. Roll the tape.
Bottom line, all these actions we've been taking are about the truth, this truth. Investing in Ukraine's freedom and security is a small price to pay to punish Russian aggression, to lessen the risk for future conflicts.
All right, so Biden said absolutely nothing. He spoke for 20 minutes. It was basically, we're going to give more money to Ukraine. So every day now we're giving them more money, which is, look, I have no major beef with the United States' policy toward Ukraine and Putin at the present. I have not criticized it. Maybe there's a few things, but basically what this is all about is weakening Putin, downgrading his military, and defending the poor people in Ukraine. All right? And the way the Biden administration is doing it isn't wrong. Now, there may be quibbles here and there, but I think I've made a fairly substantial case that there's no reason to go in with a hammer on this issue. But Biden said today what he said a million times, and he said it in a more boring way. It was stupefying to try to get through that 20 minutes. I mean, the man is staring at the teleprompter. I don't have a teleprompter, but he's reading it, and his voice is low. And it's like, what are you doing? What you're doing is try to disguise some way the Mayorkas stuff, which you didn't even have to do because none of the networks took it, including Fox. They didn't take it. Some of them dipped in and out, but, Fox primetime shows tonight will, but not the others. Nightly news, maybe a little bit, but I doubt it. Because the Democrats know they're in serious trouble over the economy and the border. Okay, so let's get to Mayorkas. Number one takeaway is this. He is a weak man. And this is the guy in charge of Homeland Security, protecting us, we the people. He is weak. Okay? I don't know him. I've never spoken to him. But I did speak to all of the other Homeland Security chiefs. There were varying, strengths and weaknesses. This guy is just weak. Okay? And he's not going to tell you the truth. So the first thing that he says is he blames Trump for everything. Go.
One of the greatest obstacles we have, Mr. Chairman, is to overcome the distrust that was sown by the prior administration through its cruel policies. Many remain still feel fearful, given what trauma they experienced and continue to experience.
It's so much BS. And, you know, he has to do it. He's got nothing else. It's Trump's fault. You know, Trump, and the record shows, stopped the mass illegal immigration. Okay. So the Democrats on the committee, all right, the House Judiciary, they don't want any part of this. But the Republicans were gleeful. Here's a soundbite with Louis Gohmert from Texas. Go.
I'm wanting to know, though, who makes the decision where these different bus loads, plane loads, train loads, who makes the decision where they are going to go in the country?
So, Congressman, there are different tiers of disposition depending on the risk.
Who makes that decision in ICE?
The ICE personnel with expertise make a decision with respect to who should be detained.
But, you know, all right. He's not going to tell you. Mayorkas doesn't. I don't know if he knows. I don't know who makes the decisions on these illegal flights that the Biden administration has ordered from the border into states. The states aren't notified. They don't know they're going to dump a plane load of migrants into New York State or wherever. They just show up. Now, it's a federal flight. They have to clear it, but they don't have to explain it. Because remember, the federal government is in charge of immigration. If they want to move migrants, they can move migrants and no state can stop them. And so I say illegal because what they're doing is they're putting people in danger. The migrants themselves, because they don't know where they're going, and the people in the communities where the planes are landing. And I think you could make a strong case that that's illegal. So, Mayorkas, even if he knew he wasn't going to say. Second soundbite. This is Congressman Ken Buck, Colorado. Go.
Are you ashamed for what you've done to this country?
Congressman, I have so much to say.
You got a minute and 17 seconds to say it.
In response to what you have just said, it is so profoundly offensive on so many different levels, in so many different regards. I won't ask you for an apology.
Don't.
All right, so Mayorkas, listen. Mayorkas thinks he's noble. The Biden administration think they're virtuous because they're letting all these poor people in. That's their mindset. You're never going to persuade them. So, Buck from Colorado, are you ashamed? Mayorkas isn't ashamed. He doesn't care about tons of narcotics coming in here or migrants being abused in Mexico on the way up to the border. He doesn't care. He said, no, I'm noble. And that is the progressive movement. Third soundbite. This is Jim Jordan, a bomb thrower. You know him. He's on Fox News. I think he's got his own show there. From Ohio. Go.
Let me ask you one last thing. 42 illegal immigrants were encountered at our border are on the terrorist and no-fly list. Are any of them still in our country?
Gentleman's time has expired.
This is an important question for this committee. Are any of them still in our country?
Congressman, I will deliver to you a response with respect to...
No. That's a simple question. Are terrorists, people on the terrorist watch list, no-fly list, are they still in the United States that you've encountered on the border?
Congressman, some of them may be still in detention. So I will...
Have any of them been released? Have any of them been released?
Time has expired.
This is critical for the... You got 42... Have they been released? Will the gentleman answer that question?
Congressman, I will provide you with...
Thank you, Madam
They may have been released.
Ridiculous, absurd. Of course, Mayorkas knows. This story has been in the news for a month. 42 people on the terror watch list were apprehended trying to sneak into this country on the southern border. Mayorkas knows. He has the list. He's just lying. Flat out. Oh, I'll send you. Yeah, we'll fire. Some of them may be detained. He knows who's detained and who isn't. He has to. And if he doesn't, he should be fired on the spot. Okay, this is ridiculous. And that's why the Biden White House didn't want anybody to see it. And that's why the network news and most of the cable operations won't cover it. It's ridiculous. This is the Homeland Security chief, and you don't know where those 42 people are? Okay, finally, Chip Roy, congressman from Texas, he, had enough, I guess. Go.
How about the little girl here with a brand on her arm? A little girl with a brand on her arm because of your policies. A little girl here in the desert found by ranchers trying to save their life. And how about the lost voices for people dying from fentanyl? The tens of thousands of Americans dying from fentanyl. Faces of Americans across this country dying because of fentanyl pouring into our country.
Time of the gentleman has expired.
You know full well.
Time of the gentleman has expired, Ms.
Encouraging people to come here, harming Texas and harming this country. You know it. And you're ignoring the
time
of
the gentleman has expired. He no longer has time to slander the secretary.
Nadler is a despicable human being. He is a despicable. I know him. Okay, so if you are an American who cares about your country, what conclusion can you form about what happened today in that hearing in front of the House Judiciary Committee? That alone disqualifies President Biden and his whole administration from re-election. That alone. This is a game of life and death. They have no answers. Their dereliction of duty, in a sense that they won't enforce immigration laws on the books, is an impeachable offense. I don't know if Biden will be impeached. He may be once the Republicans take the House in November. It's an impeachable offense. He's not going to be able to defend himself. But you need 2/3 of the Senate to convict, and I don't think that is going to happen. But believe me, you saw the charade with Trump, a phone call to Ukraine, a preposterous slander about January 6th. That got into the impeachment realm. This is 1,000 times worse than those two things. They're really disturbing. AMAC, the Association of Mature American Citizens, is the leading conservative advocacy and benefits organization in America. I am an AMAC member, and you should be too. AMAC gives you access to exclusive benefits, insightful takes on today's news, and a magazine full of uncensored content that you will not find anywhere else. Most importantly, AMAC is working tirelessly to preserve the freedoms enshrined and secured by our Constitution. AMAC has become one of the most impactful organizations in America because more than just talk, AMAC gets things done. They are pushing back against the efforts to defund our police, weaken the borders, and replace your freedom with government control. But they need your help. Stand with me and more than 2 million patriots and join AMAC today at amac.us. That's AMAC.us. amac.us, and tell them O'Reilly sent you. Okay, so let's talk about evil, and that's what's happening here at the southern border, particularly with the cartels, the drug smuggling, the people smuggling, all the abuse these poor migrants are taking. They're defenseless. All right, that's evil. Putin is evil. We know that. I mean, I'll give you the latest stats that about 6,000 civilians have been killed in Ukraine, including 67 children, another 3,000 injured. Those are just regular people trying to live. And that's Putin's forces killing and maiming them. Putin's evil. He knows it. He doesn't care about his own soldiers. The British Defense Secretary says 15,000 Russian troops have been killed since the invasion 64 days ago. Now, today in the United States is Holocaust Remembrance Day. There is not a more vivid example of evil than the Holocaust. And I'm going to get to that in the history segment later on. But I want to mobilize you and your thought process, those who are watching and listening to me right now, about the concept of evil. Because many people do not accept that concept, and others look away. They're afraid. So 18 years ago today, 2004, the Abu Ghraib story broke. Remember that story? Very important story. So inside Iraq, after we overthrew Saddam Hussein, the United States, the CIA, established a prison in Abu Ghraib. There was already a prison there. Saddam used it. We took it over. And the terrorists, people who were killing civilians, planting roadside bombs, they were put in Abu Ghraib. Okay? So CBS News got pictures, leaked pictures, we'll put some of them up on the screen, that inside Abu Ghraib, there was torture going on, and there was, all right? There was what they called coerced interrogation. Very little waterboarding, 3 or 4 people waterboarded, but there were physical, violent interrogations going on there. So it was a huge, huge story. So much so that a general had to apologize on 60 Minutes. Roll the tape.
Our soldiers could be taken prisoner as well. And we expect our soldiers to be treated well by the adversary, by the enemy. And if we can't hold ourselves up as an example of how to treat people with dignity and respect, we can't ask that other nations do that to our soldiers as well.
Okay, so that was the Bush administration putting that guy out to say that. And there was nothing really wrong with saying it, but I'm going to challenge in a moment. So the left in America used Abu Ghraib to try to destroy George W. Bush. And they largely succeeded in demonizing him around the world. And it was, for about 6 months, the #1 story every single day. Roll the tape.
Clearly, this is a time for our leadership, starting with our defense secretary, to speak clearly and honestly to the American people about these egregious instances of torture.
Let me be clear. I failed to recognize how important it was to elevate a matter of such gravity to the highest levels, including the President and the members of Congress. Third, I'm seeking a way to provide appropriate compensation to those detainees who suffered such grievous and brutal abuse and cruelty at the hands of a few members of the United States Armed Forces.
What took place in the Iraqi prison does not reflect the character of the more than 200,000 military personnel who have served in Iraq since the beginning of Operation Iraqi Freedom. All Americans know the goodness and the character of the United States Armed Forces.
Okay, so shortly after that, Congress passed the Detainee Treatment Act of 2005, signed into law by Bush. It prohibits cruel, inhuman, degrading treatment or punishment of any prisoner of the U.S. government. Those are the key words, of the U.S. government. Okay? 11 soldiers, U.S. soldiers, were eventually convicted by military courts of crimes attached to Abu Ghraib. Now, that was 18 years ago. Did you know coerced interrogation of terror suspects is still going on? Did you know that? Enter Killing the Killers, my new book, which will be out Tuesday. So we document how this is happening. I want you to listen closely here. This is very, very important for this country. So the key wording of the law, the Detainee Treatment Act, is no degrading or inhuman punishment of any prisoner of the U.S. government. Now, the U.S. government subcontracts these terrorists out to other countries, and they do the coerced interrogation and give the information to the United States. Prove this without any doubt. Nobody knows how it works. You get that book, you will know. But there's more to this. The United States has to do this. It has to. Kayla Mueller, 26 years old, Prescott, Arizona. Okay? She was a relief worker in Texas. She went to Turkey to help the refugees there. Okay? This happened in 2013. She foolishly went into Syria to go to a Doctors Without Borders mission. ISIS kidnapped her. Okay. They had 3 other Americans at the time. They just grabbed them in Syria. Syria was out of control totally. ISIS controlled it. You'll remember that. This is under the Obama administration. ISIS controlled a third of the country. They grabbed Kayla. Okay. ISIS leader Bakr al-Baghdadi, one of the most heinous human beings ever to walk this planet, takes an interest in Kayla Mueller. Again, she's 26 years old. He rapes her repeatedly, holds her for ransom. ISIS taunts the Mueller family in Arizona with emails about their daughter. U.S. government has a law, we can't pay ransom to terrorists. We can't do it. Some countries can, we can't. So Kayla sits there, and Kayla is murdered. Okay? All right. Al-Baghdadi, we can't find him. This is where Killing the Killers comes in. Turkish authorities pick up a courier in Istanbul. They turn him over to the CIA. CIA can't torture him, rough him up. They give him to the Iraqi government. The Iraqi government does what they do. The courier gives up al-Baghdadi. And you'll see exactly how this happened. I walk you through it in the book. U.S. Special Forces go into Syria, and again, we'll tell you exactly what happened. Here's my question to you. Your son or daughter being held by al-Baghdadi. You going to okay coerced interrogation? I am. I'll do it myself. I believe this country should have a law against torture, but there should be an exception. And the exception should be if the President of the United States himself signs off on it for extraordinary reasons. Now, Donald Trump did the right thing in this al-Baghdadi situation. And again, we go all through it. We contrast what Trump did to what Obama did. I'm telling you, if you read this book, you're not going to be able to put it down. Okay? The overarch on this is evil is in the world. We all have to recognize evil. We have to fight against evil, or evil grows stronger. The war in Europe is a kind of chaos where foreign identity thieves love to target American homeowners. The crime is home title theft. It is exploding in the USA, and no, you are not covered by homeowners insurance or common ID theft services. The problem is the title to all of our homes kept online. An identity thief knows his big payday is as easy as forging your signature stating you sold your home to him. Now, he'll take out a loan and another loan against your home, and you won't even know it until the collection calls start or you get an eviction notice. So how do you protect your home from title theft? Register your address at HomeTitleLock.com to see if you are a victim already. Go to HomeTitleLock.com, HomeTitleLock.com. So here's the final thought of the day. I say things aren't going to get better for the Biden administration, and I know that because of Hunter Biden. Grand jury hearing allegations against Hunter now in Delaware. Looks to me like he avoided income tax payments. Also, there is no doubt that Joe Biden, his father, participated in Hunter Biden's foreign deals, business deals. There's no doubt about it. We gave you the facts yesterday. Hunter Biden's business associates going to the White House 19 times when Joe Biden was vice president. That doesn't happen without Joe Biden's permission. This is corruption. Okay, U.S. Grant did it. You know, his brother and other people. A lot of presidents did it. The Clintons were corrupt. All right? Nothing happened to them. They got away with it. The only thing that happened to Bill Clinton was the Lewinsky thing. They got away with everything else. Hillary got away with everything. Will Joe Biden get away with whatever he did, whatever corruption he participated in? Again, he did it. The President of the United States was corrupt. There's no doubt about it. And again, people don't want to believe it. They don't want to believe it. But I don't know, and I'm looking for a story on Monday. We're working on something. I don't know if it's going to rise to that. But between not enforcing the law on the border and Hunter Biden, and remember, this grand jury is either going to have Joe Biden's going to be under that cloud. You're not going to see the president much this summer. Okay, he's going to be in Rehoboth, Delaware at his little beach house. Not going to see him here. But his attorneys have got to be worried now. Because the only thing that saves Joe Biden is if Hunter Biden is indicted and pleads guilty. Because then Biden says, I'm not guilty, and goes through the process, it's over. The White House will be paralyzed. It'll be like Richard Nixon. Okay? Nixon couldn't govern because of the Watergate stuff. Now, the advantage that Biden has over Nixon is that the press wanted to get Nixon. Whereas the press now doesn't want to hear about Hunter Biden. That was the big thing on Twitter. They wouldn't allow any Hunter Biden stuff. And on Facebook and the other social media. They blacked it out. It was all true. And that's why Elon Musk stepped in. We can't have this. But if you think that the leftist media in this country, the newspapers and the networks, are going to aggressively cover Hunter Biden, they're not. Until it's a fait accompli. Until the evidence is so overwhelming against Joe Biden, using his position as vice president to forward his son's foreign business deals, that's corruption. Now, there's a difference between being corrupt and being criminal. If Biden didn't get any money from Hunter, it's dicey. It goes into the ethical realm. But if he did get 10%, as some allege, that's a crime. So, in the next 3 or 4 months, this will emerge as the big story in America. Ukraine's going to flame out soon. Putin's going to carve off the east end of that country, put Russian soldiers in there. That's what he's going to do. All right? There'll be a guerrilla war, but the big shoot war will subside. But the Hunter Biden story, that is not going away. Even if the grand jury fails to indict, they'll have to explain it. And the IRS will have to explain it. Now, Hunter Biden did write a huge check to the IRS, but that doesn't knock out your culpability after the fact. Okay, he did it, but the IRS, if he dodged those taxes, and remember, none of the Hunter Biden stuff appeared on Joe Biden's tax returns. So there isn't any, secret money. So that's in play. Now, I'm not an alarmist. I'm not a hysteric. I go right down fact, 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 fact. This is a huge story. The right wing is going to speculate. They're going to throw out stuff just like the left wing does. We don't do that here. It's going to be all fact-based. But I figured you'd like to know that because it is coming. Thank you very much for watching and listening to the No Spin News this evening. Please think about killing the killers. We have a new column on Sunday noon, and we will see you on Monday. As you may know, inflation is out of control thanks to the policies of this administration. Retirement accounts are especially vulnerable now. When inflation goes up, your savings goes down. Protect your hard-earned wealth against inflation. Please call the people I trust at American Hartford Gold. They will show you how to protect your savings by diversifying your portfolio with physical gold and silver. They are the highest-rated firm in the country with an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau and thousands of satisfied clients. It takes just a short phone call, and they will deliver physical gold and silver right to your door or put inside your IRA or 401k. Plus, tell them Bill O'Reilly sent you, and they will give you up to $2,500 of free silver on your first order. So please don't wait. Call 866-501-5201. 866-501-5201 or text Bill to 65532. Again, 866-501-5201 or text Bill to 65532.
Bill O'Reilly is back on TV and only on The First. No Spin News, every weeknight at 8 p.m. Eastern, only on The First.